Good morning, good morning. Hey, Black Goddess 4, how you doing today? Hey, everybody coming in, how y'all doing? Hey, how y'all doing? Okay, I was like, let me get myself together. I wanted to talk and share a ghost story or a story of a haunted doll um, in my experience. So I wanted to talk about spirit dolls, okay? So I told you guys that, my spouse and I moved here in Virginia a few months ago. We came from South Georgia. We sold our home and we relocated. Yeah, everything is good, Black Goddess. Hey, Positive for Life in June. Yes, Black Goddess 4, get that money, honey. So I hate Monica Robertson. So before I left Georgia, one of my favorite things to do was go to thrift stores and get things. Never really got dolls, but like if I would go to an antique store, I would get like antique dolls, but not like the little porcelain dolls or anything like that. But I got like only three dolls I bought from an antique store. Two Indian dolls that had like Indian, like real women's hair. They were from like the 60s or something like that, because I saw some on eBay. And I sold them, but I bought them to sell them. And then I bought a doll that had a little rabbit attached to it, and I'll take a picture of that doll and upload it for y'all later. But I never really gravitated towards dolls, especially like those porcelain dolls and all that stuff, because I could feel the energy, and I strongly advise you guys, if you buy dolls, to make sure that you divine and don't bring it in your house immediately. Leave it outside and make sure the energy is welcoming, and that the dolls work on your behalf, because they do work in your favor. Spirit energies that attach themselves to items either work for you or against you, so you want to know which one it is. But I thought I'd share this story, and my homegirl can attest to this, because I ended up actually selling the dolls in a yard sale to her husband, and that me and her had just met a few years ago. And so he bought the dolls. They were in the middle of some other things I was selling. He bought the dolls, and she told me to come get them dolls like a few months later. Like, she's like, it's something they didn't like, her energy didn't resonate with the dolls. Okay, so the dolls came back to me, and I'm gonna tell y'all a true story. I don't have a picture of the dolls because I don't bring them in the house. Okay, but one of the dolls looks just like the Annabelle doll. The real Annabelle doll is a Raggedy Ann doll. So what made me think about this was this doll that I got when I was in Haiti. This is a doll that when I was doing Reiki healing the other day, I used this doll, and it was a profound experience, because I've used this doll intentionally for healing since I got her from Haiti a few years ago. I have intentionally used this doll for healing, and this doll is the bomb. So when I was trying to diagnose something the other night, I told y'all I dreamt about the diagnosis and I got the message. I used this doll here. Okay. June said my granny had so many dolls I got rid of them. They were spooky. They can hold on to energy. So this is my healing doll from Haiti. She does have a name, but I'm not gonna get into that. This is her dress. Look at how beautiful. Okay, but this is my Haitian healer. But I'm gonna tell you guys, I was going through my old photos and stuff on Google. You know how they'll do like years ago, this time or whatever. And so there was a screenshot that I had from the doll, and I'm gonna tell y'all about the story with the doll. With you 1 second. Okay, there it is. So I got the doll from yard sale, and again, we live near military base in South Georgia. So we went to a yard sale one day, and I saw the Raggedy Ann doll and the two bunnies, like from Alice in Wonderland. And I told my wife, I'm gonna get those dolls because spirit is drawing me to those dolls. And the man who was selling the dolls was like, those dolls were my grandmother-in-law's. And I said, she handmade those, right? He was like, yes, she did. And he was like, please take them, I'll give them to you for free. Like, that's how he was trying to get rid of them, because they were creeping him out. So I was like, all right, bet. So I took them, and the first thing I told myself was, they're haunted, but the energy is good energy, and I'm going to put them on our sun porch, which is in the backyard. It was attached to the house. We had got a sun porch built on, so it was on the outside of the house, but it was attached, so it wasn't necessarily in the house. And over the threshold of our sun porch, I did some Latin scriptures for protection and things like that ahead of time, so I knew that the dolls couldn't enter in that door. But I'm gonna tell you what happened. So I was laying in the bed one day. I had taken off work this particular day, so my wife was at work, my daughter was at school, and I was home alone. And I had taken off work that day, so I did some things. I was in school. I was taking law classes, so I was doing some business law classes or whatever. And so I was at home, and I decided to take a nap. And I rarely take naps because I get so many messages and downloads. So I was like, this particular day, I said, I'm gonna take a nap, then I'll finish doing my little routine today. You guys, I took a nap, and the dolls, I saw all three of them, came at me, and they had to come through the window. And I thought about it, and I was like, dang, they couldn't even come through the back door, because I put the little Latin scripture up there. So they literally, I saw them walking around in the backyard. They went out the back. The sun porch had a back door, obviously, so that you can go outside. They walked out of the back screen door, and they walked to my bedroom window, which this was our backyard. So you go out the sun porch door, and this is the sun porch. You go through the screen door that's attached, and you go right here, and my bedroom window is right there. So literally, I saw them in my dream walking around there. And I tried to wake up, because I saw, like, I get caught in this realm that's like interdimensional. I can see in the dream world and the physical world at the same time. So sometimes I'll see people or energies or spirits or whatever, beings, and they will be like, I'll see my bedroom furniture, like I'll see everything. The only view from my bed in South Georgia was our window. We had a really big bay window, so I slept on the right side of the bed, so when I looked over, the window was right there. So I saw the doll coming at me, and I couldn't move. Like, I was half awake, half asleep, but I could see everything. So I couldn't move, but I could see everything. And literally, you guys, the Annabelle doll, and I'm calling her the Annabelle doll because she was the Raggedy Ann doll. And I didn't even know until after this situation, I researched the Annabelle doll, because the Annabelle doll kept coming up. And I saw that creepy ass doll that they got on the movie, and I was like, why would anybody buy that? It's horrible. But I realized when I did my research that the actual Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll. So I was like, wow, because this is exactly what I bought. So she put her hand around my throat, and I was like, oh, this doll about to kill me. What the heck? Like, I'm laying in the bed like this. And then I saw, when I started, saying my prayers that I say whenever something does try to attack me, especially in your sleep. When I said my prayer, the doll moved her hands and showed me the number 4. Like, I saw the number 4. So when I saw that, I had to do my research. And I was like, okay, this has a meaning. So I'm going to tell y'all what it ended up meaning. But before then, I got my iPad so I can look. Let's see what y'all saying. Positive for Life said, oh, June said pretty, love her hair wrap. Yeah, thank you. I love this doll. I really wish, the only regret is I should have brought some more back, because all of my friends that are healers love the doll and they want one. Positive for Life said, I have 2 dolls in my closet and I put them away. Makes me wonder, should I get rid of them? And you do. I'm going to tell you the end of the story, and you're going to have to divine and check with spirit to see. Because I have done readings for people, and I've told them, like, people that have had children, I'm like, your child has XYZ. Like, I'll see the doll, the toy, or whatever it is, and I'll tell them, you need to get rid of that. I had a Raggedy Ann doll and Andy when I was little. I never had those because I grew up with my great granny, and she simply couldn't afford to get that kind of stuff for me. But I had friends that had them. And I'm going to tell y'all, the scariest toy to me was that freaking Teddy Ruxpin. I don't care what nobody say. Teddy was Freddy. Like, Teddy Ruxpin The spirit of Teddy Ruxpin did something to me when I was young. I always felt it. So this is what I. It's probably gonna flip around. This is the information man who passed away, who made the dolls. Because after this happened, I Googled. I put the address in, and I looked back in the local papers. This was 2017. So she was born in 1933, and her name was Louise. Okay, so it has her birthday here, and when she passed away. Says she passed away peacefully in her home. She was 83 years old. So I read everything and I did a visual for her after this because I realized that she was a nurse and that she was a seamstress and that she made blankets. I don't know what jumper pads are, but she made bumper pads. Oh, I guess that's for the crib. Bumper pads and blankets for her grandchildren. And she served the Lord faithfully and was a proud member of it, says the church here. Her door was always open to anyone in need, and her home was a home for everybody. She was a wonderful mother and friend. And then it has her family members' names. So I should aid to her energy. But let me tell y'all. So I was like, oh hell, this doll trying to kill me. What the hell? And so I said my prayers and my incantations. And when I did that, I instantly saw the number 4. So I was like, okay, 4, 4, 4. And then, the energy of the doll, went away. So I said, okay, hey, makeup butterfly. So I said, okay, it is a very specific reason why she's showing me the number 4. I get up and I was like, my throat, like I felt it vibrating, not in a negative way. It was vibrating though. And I was like, okay. So of course I did, energy healing for my throat. And again, this was in 2017. I did energy healing for my throat. And I said, something is not right. So I had a vision of a doctor. And I saw like a computer in the doctor's hand, like a small, tiny computer in the doctor's hand, looking at something, and then it had my throat. So I scheduled an appointment and I went to the doctor. Do y'all know that I had 4 little, small, tiny pebbles on my thyroid that I had never known about? So the doll, hey Octavia and Trisha, and Make a Butterfly. The doll actually came at me and I was thinking it was an attack, but it didn't feel like one. It was just scary as heck and it was real. And so when I found out that Miss Louise was a nurse, it made so much sense that she had attached her energy to this doll and using this doll as a vessel was able to come back and still do some more healing and to still make a difference, So I thought that was very profound because it literally came up in my, it came up in my memories because, let's see, yeah, August, this happened at the beginning of August, so it came up in my memories from 2017. So I was just like, wow. So, not to mention the fact that I just mentioned it in the I think it was the live before the last, when I was talking about how my doll, I had my healing doll and I had my Edgar Casey book under my pillow when I was doing some diagnosing the other day. And it literally was 100% on. Yeah, I'm glad that I got it checked out too. It was 100% on target with what was going on with me. So when it comes to that, I do caution you guys about bringing certain energy in your home, whether it's a doll or any item. But you also want to be cognizant of the fact that energy is energy, and like Einstein said, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. But you can change energy. So if a person dies and they lose their body, that doesn't mean that just because their life force is connected from their body, that it's not still here on planet Earth, vibrating and doing things, good things, bad things, or indifferent things. That energy can attach itself to a house, to a car, to a doll or anything. A lot of people that I do readings for, I tell them you need to trade in your car because the energy, like if especially a used car, the energy just doesn't resonate with them, and so I'll have them doing that often. But clothing, that came up in my taboo, that I could not buy clothing that was already used, and that was crazy because, like I said, I literally was a thrifter. And so I had to get rid of a lot of clothes that I had purchased secondhand because I was a consignment store shopper. Like all of my Louis Vuitton bags and stuff that I bought back in the day before I started going in the store and officially buying my brand new bags, I was getting them secondhand, and they came from other homes. So literally, I had to sell all of my rehomed items because of this particular taboo that came up for me with my Ifa divination reading. But as far as the energy is concerned, when you guys bring items into your home, I would specifically dedicate something for myself. And I just heard a knock on my ceiling or up in the attic, and I always hear that whenever a spirit gives me confirmation. I would dedicate a specific doll, or it doesn't necessarily have to be a doll. Like I was telling Black Goddess, for her belt with the cowrie shells can be her, like her Wonder Woman, goddess, warrior, magic belt, But dedicate an item, even gemstones, dedicate items for your protection, dedicate them for love, for healing, and for finances. Those are the areas that I would say dedicate something for. I was trying to see if I had it in here. But yeah, dedicating something for your betterment. It's like in voodoo how they make mojo bags. And if you even think about a voodoo doll, they do things to the doll because it's sympathetic magic. Whatever you do to a part of a whole affects the whole. Like my great granny used to say, don't throw your hair away because a bird will get it and build a nest and drive you crazy. Well, let's examine that because they've done scientific studies. And if you guys want books and, research, The Divine Matrix, written by Greg Braden a few years ago, he talked about how they took a cantaloupe and cut it in half, and they had different labs that were like out of state, whatever, and they hooked it up to these little prods so they could, so that they could measure the responses. What they did to a half of a cantaloupe in one lab all the way out of state affected the cantaloupe in the other half. And now this is a cantaloupe, but mind you, plants and fruits and stuff like that have consciousness just like humans and animals. But what they did to one cantaloupe affected the other part of it out of state in another lab. So why is that? It is sympathetic. So it is just like in voodoo, and if someone gets a hold to your hair or your, whatever personal effects, they can either fuck you up or they can, lift you up. So that's just the unsugar-coated version of that. So let's see what y'all are saying. Makes sense. I had to stop thrifting. It brought a bad spirit in my house. Yeah. Oh wow, just purchasing things from Mercari. So what can I do? Okay, so I love Mercari. And I typically purchase things from them that are new because again my taboo was that I couldn't buy like secondhand clothes and shoes, which is crazy because Mercari was one of my favorite apps. But what you want to do is you want to divine, and you want to, before you bring that item into, like for example your closet in your bedroom and stuff like that, put it in a neutral space, like in your living room or your dining room, and you sage it, use palo on it or whatever. If it's a piece of clothing, you want to wash it, of course, and dry it. And you can also use white Ifum powder, which is crushed eggshell powder, which we use in Ifa. You can use that to clean the energy of the clothes as well. Okay. I think I saw something behind you. Maybe I was saying things. Probably not, because I did, invoke some energy, and I did in my mind say an incantation to close that portal out because it's a very strong portal. For some reason, South Georgia has very strong portal energy. I felt that same way growing up in Memphis, and I spent a year. I had a year year intermission in between me leaving Memphis and going to Atlanta. I lived in Alabama for a year. And I took a lot of classes there at the University of Alabama. And I can tell you guys, those are some very high portal energies. Virginia, where I live now, it's a high portal energy. A lot of Native American, Indian battlegrounds. We'll be turning the corner somewhere, and I'm like, it's a Native American attack here, and we'll see the historic plaque maybe 2 or 3 miles down that's marking the fact that yeah, a battleground took place here. But I feel like the energies here, maybe my ancestors were from these tribes, because the energy connects and resonates with me tremendously, the same way it did in Woodstock, which was Cherokee County. And I do have a strong tie to that culture. But in Georgia, like in South Georgia, the energy felt horrible for me. And it was a brand new home. It was gorgeous. But I was like, I would sell this house in a heartbeat and relocate, because that's how I felt about it. Black Artist 4. I went to New Orleans last year, bought 2 voodoo dolls. I was drawn to it. I brought it home, staged it. Spray Florida water and holy water on it. Yeah, you do, because it's like a body. It's a portal. You know what I mean? It can move things. Think about it. If you're a spirit, you may not be cognizant, especially if you're not evolved a certain way. You may not be cognizant of whether this is actually a human or a doll. Or maybe you don't care. Maybe you're just looking for a vehicle so that your consciousness can exist somewhere, and can go on to do things, you know? So, oh, there it is. I'm like, I don't have a bottle of water. So, yeah, guys, hold on one second. Okay. So, yeah, like you literally, you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Liza. Unless you get a feeling or something happens. Now, some of the dolls at the Goodwill, you could not pay me. I don't care if you give me a bag of gold coins. I'm not bringing that ish in my house, because some of those dolls are so vindictive and creepy, and you know, you don't know if somebody was a warlock or a witch or something, and they did, you know, bad energy work, and that energy, when it was thrown out there, it could have funneled itself into a doll, and it could just live there and do, you know, just have grimy, vengeful, dark energy. So you have to be extremely careful. Candles. I got a candle from the Goodwill one time years ago. That candle was so heavy. Like the way that it burned, it was like it was trying to burn my whole house down. I had to just throw it away, because I was like, it's not worth the risk. And it was a really, it was a black crow candle, which a black crow is not a good sign necessarily anyway. But you guys be very cognizant. Now, even the doll from Haiti, they had a whole lot of dolls in Labade, and the market areas, there were like vendors on top of vendors on top of vendors. But the vendor that I purchased the doll from had such a connective energy. There were some of the vendors that were looking at me like they wanted to pry my eyeball out. Like the Haitian women, no offense to anyone that is from Haiti, but the Haitian women there were like, I don't know, they had some kind of issue with us being from America, I guess. I don't know. When, you know, I admire them. I admire what they did, you know, historically fighting for their country and their freedom. So I don't have any reason to look at them a certain way, and they don't have a reason to look at me a certain way. But a lot of our African ancestors that were dropped off over there suffered tremendously, because they stood up for themselves and they got punished for that. So there was a heaviness there, and I was very careful about what I chose to bring back home from there. But this particular doll, you know, kind of had a conversation with me outside, and you know, in that market in Haiti, and I was like, okay, I want to bring this doll home. Okay, so Falonda said, yes, I saw a gray black shadow move past the door near the light switch. I can believe it because literally when I talk about, that's why I didn't bring the doll in the house to show you guys the Annabelle doll or the Raggedy Ann. But when Miss Louise made this doll, like the downloads that I've gotten, she intentionally knew that her energy was going to be put in that doll. And like I said, I tried to get rid of the doll because even though I got the diagnosis, the dolls were just too heavy for me. And I told, I gave the disclaimer, hey, this is what the dolls are about. Now, and the dolls came back to me. So I'm pretty sure that it's meant for me to have them, but just not living in the house with me. But if I were to, for example, sell them like on Etsy or somewhere where they purchase, haunted items and they're into stuff like that, I would do the same thing. Give the disclaimer because just because Miss Louise diagnosed me and helped me to see what was wrong with me doesn't mean that the next person she wouldn't try to, attack. Like it just depends. Everybody doesn't connect with everybody. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, how can you tell if someone has done work on you? That's a very interesting question because a lot of clients that come to me clearly have had someone do work on them, and that's why they come to me. You can definitely tell when things in your life start going off course. Certain little nuances to happen. You may have things that happen back to back to back to back to back. One day it's your car, the next day, your air conditioner at home may go out. Anything that's an energy portal will start tripping, the motor on your car, the air conditioner at home, or the heat at home, your refrigerator, your stove, anything, energy moving through, tearing stuff up. Because again, like I always tell you guys, we have several different bodies, different layers. So before the energy gets to your physical body, it has to come through all these layers. And the same with different things going on around you, like within your house. Like that's why you protect your house, you protect your front yard, so that people can't just penetrate and get to you. They have to go through all kind of stuff. Now you can tell because if you're, for example, one of my clients has a male in her life who somebody was doing root work on, and she came to me and I confirmed that, and she went to another root worker later who confirmed it as well, and she circled back to me, and we're working together, and I told her that you can tell because hell, first of all, he acted like he lost his mind. And people will say stuff like, oh, this person is bipolar or whatever, what have you. The diagnosis is what it is from a professional standpoint, but spiritually, somebody is in their mind trying to go against their will, trying to drive them down this street and that street and pulling them in a direction that they may or may not want to go on. And it's affecting the way that they behave, the decisions that they make, because this man, pretty much his career of a long time ended. All his success, everything that he had built basically was just going down the drain. You can see it. You tell you can tell that something is affecting this person. A lot of your mental illnesses come from curses and hexes. And remember, I was telling you guys I had those three they're still living, those three autistic uncles that came from a root, a curse that backfired. So that's a mental illness, a curse of the mind. So you can also tell somebody's doing work on you if your money is tied up. Okay, hey Beam Alike. Falonda says, I used to have Raggedy Ann and Andy sheets. You know, when I was little, I wanted all that stuff, but you guys, my great granny, by the time I was born, you know, she was still the leader of her Eastern Star group. She had a few friends that they would get together and they would hang out and they would meet up. And you know, she would cook for everybody because, you know, like I told you guys, my granny grew all that stuff in the backyard. But she didn't have a lot of money, you know, disposable income. So I didn't have the luxury of growing up. And my mother wasn't, you know, my mother didn't raise me. So she didn't really contribute. But I didn't have the luxury of those kind of things. And now, honestly, looking back, it may be a good thing because some of these things I feel have energies attached to them that maybe it wasn't meant for me to be around. You know what I'm saying? Philonda says I would like to get a reading. That's fine. You can email me gypsylandtarot@gmail and I'll get one set up for you. But like those little toy soldiers and GI Joes. When I was little, I would play with my cousins when they would come and visit my aunts. My great aunt lived next door to us. When they would come and visit my great aunt, which was their grandmother, they had all the toys. They had the video games and everything because my great aunt was a nurse and she had a lot of money. So her grandkids were spoiled. So through them, I was able to experience certain toys. Um, but I could pick up on energy very, very vividly back then as a kid. I remember playing with GI Joes and the little small ones, and I felt the energy. I was like, these soldiers have really killed people. Like they've really been at war. Like these energies were so heavy to me, and then had a lot of, you know, military family members too. So I was probably getting in touch with the ancestors, and that's another thing too. I have a GI Joe on my ancestor altar, and from one of my grandfathers who was a soldier. And I'll tell you guys like this: that GI Joe doll has a lot of power in it. And if you look online for one, they are expensive for an authentic GI Joe because they actually make replicas of it. And that's how you know something is has a lot of energy and power, and if they're making replicas of it. So they have replica GI Joes, but I think I spent $50 for this GI Joe doll at the antique store before we moved here. And so you do want to use some dolls because they will allow spirits and energies to have a place, a container. That's what your ancestor altar is. It's a portal between this world we live in and the world that your ancestors have gone to in the afterlife. That portal activates them and gives them a home, a place to chill and relax in. That's why you put money on there so that they can have money on the other side and that they can bless you with money. You put this there so they can have, you know, more energy to be powerful to help you to do things over here. Um, And that brings me to one thing that I really want to get into that I've been interested in for years, but I've never gotten into it, is the doll houses. And I've been looking and adding furniture in my cart on all kind of sites because, of course, if I get a dollhouse, I want to decorate it very nicely. But I've seen some furniture lately that's made me feel like I need to go ahead and get one, if not to just put it on my ancestor altar alone for my grandmother, because one of the I was looking at one of the places getting some antique doll furniture from, because I haven't found the perfect doll house yet, but I keep finding the furniture I want. And I would imagine that I would want like a Victorian dollhouse, but honestly, I would probably get like a little bungalow. But the dollhouse furniture they have now has like whatnots and, you know, whatnot stands and all the antique pieces that my granny had. So I have thought about getting that. But if you guys do, at the very least, decide to pull a doll energy in to use for healing for whatever purpose, you know, to attract money. Because I was talking about voodoo dolls, and then I got distracted. Mojo bags, like in different cultures, mojo bags are used to attract abundance and money. The way they work, again, sympathetic magic. So you're keeping that frequency or that vibration or that energy in your aura so that it can constantly, like a magnet, attract those things and pull them into you. And that's one of the things that I focus on a lot is abundance work and prosperity. Okay, I started smelling something burning, so I had to look because I knew I have a candle lit back here. I got some books on this altar. No, it's not burning. Okay, that was interesting. I smelled something burning. And interesting we're talking about that, because once you start doing all these things, it does increase your senses, heightens your senses. Trisha said, waterfall is good to have in your home. Most definitely. Anything that they do in other cultures, what's the email again? It's Gypsy Lynn, Lin, tarot at Gmail. Um, when so basically, and I just lost my train of thought because I had a download, but basically, I would say to hand make your own doll if you can do that. That way, you know where the material come from. You know, let's say for example, the message spirit is giving me right now. Yes, waterfalls keep your money flowing. And that was the other thing. Anything they do in other cultures, like Tibetan, Asian cultures and stuff, they use waterfalls, they use feng shui, because they know that the energy needs to move a certain way throughout your house. If you are blocking your energy flow, you're blocking your prosperity, your health, all that stuff, you know. So, and I talked about it before too, with money going down the drain. If you have broken things in your home, if your oven, your stove is dirty, because that's the financial, your oven or your stove in your home is the financial center of your home. That's like the financial capital of your home. So over my stove, I'll keep like tourmaline and stuff like that. And like even years ago, like when I got my first house that I told you guys about, I knew that over my stove, I put like a little money plaque, and I have a money plant or cacti, something that I keep in the something resilient and strong, bonsai plant that you want to keep in the kitchen. But dolls, you want to make your own doll. You can get some cloth from Hobby Lobby or from Michael's or Joann's. But me, I prefer to get something of mine, some clothing of mine, and make my own, make my own little puppets. And inside of them, and this might sound a little weird to y'all if y'all are turned off by certain things, I understand, but this is what I do. This has brought me big banks, love, whatever it was that I wanted, I got it. Health, you know, all this. Take take yours, take an item, clothing item of yours, because it has your energy attached to it that you've already worn, and you can put inside of it whatever crystals and gemstones you're using it for, and put some of your fingernails in there, fingernails, toenails, all kind of stuff. Whenever my locks, thin at the end, I snip it right on off and I put that in there, because that is a part of me, and so it's going to affect me. Think about it. If you go to the doctor and they draw blood, they can tell you everything about yourself just based on that blood, those little drops of blood that's coming out your body. So think about how powerful your blood is. Think about your hair. All of this has your DNA in it, right? So if you're surrounding your DNA with nothing but positive energy, healing energy, protection, stuff like that, you're bound to prosperity. You know what I'm saying? You're going to keep that coming in. A fish tank with flowing water, snake plant. They both used to have fingernails, and what else? Oh, after fingernails, I said yeah, after fingernails, whatever, you can put blood in there. Um And anything that's a part of your DNA. Okay, so you mentioned if money is tied up, that's how you know if someone's speaking negative against you. Now, I didn't say that's how you know that someone is speaking negative against you if your money is tied up, but that's just a sign that someone could have been doing work against you if nothing goes right. Cause I don't care what nobody says. Certain things you should just be able to manifest. Like if you can't manifest certain things, then something is wrong. You see what I'm saying? On some level, if you have the experience for these jobs you're applying for, you get your resume done, you're polished, you're carrying yourself in a professional manner, you have the experience, the resume, the education, then why are you not getting the job? You see what I'm saying? It's something tied up, okay? Something hexed and crossed up. The same with cars. People I talk to sometimes are not able to manifest cars, and then we start doing abundance work together, and they're able to get them. But I'm thinking to myself, hell, they giving away cars. How are you not able to get a car? I'm running from the offers for cars that they're giving me because they're wanting me to upgrade my car because my car is paid off, and I'm like, I'm not upgrading. No, a car to me these days is it's a liability. I'm not upgrading my car, and especially considering the fact that most places that I used to rip and run to, I'm not driving like that, you see. So you want to look at prosperity from the perspective of, I know people say things like money flows to me easily and abundantly, and you should look at it with that perspective because it does. Money does flow. Money is on the currency, it's on the frequency. Like Trisha said, the waterfalls, that is it. That is money as well. All of that is flowing. You want to keep it flowing. If you're stingy, you're greedy, you're selfish, you don't spend money on yourself, you blocking your blessings. I'm telling y'all now, because I'll go and treat myself to all kind of nice, expensive things. And when I met my wife, I had to teach her that lesson because my wife made 3 times what I made when I met her. And she was so cheap with herself. I said, let me show you something. I'm about to tell you one thing right now. I cannot deal in a relationship with somebody who looks at money negatively or they're afraid of money. If that's how you view things around money, then I'm not the right friend or whatever for you because I don't look at money like that. And you should not. You know, we were taught that money is the root of all evil or the love of it is, and that's not true. That's not true because the same elites that teach us that wrote the Bible, gave us that mantra, they have so much money and it's unnecessary at a certain point. Like, why do you have all that money? And there are people out here homeless living on the streets. Why do you have all that money? Like, what are you even doing with it? Is it just the acquisition of the money? Like, what is it? Is it the power? I don't understand. But you definitely have to change your focus and your view on money if you want to keep it coming in and attracting it. Trisha says I put fingernails and saliva. Exactly. Do a snake candle, send that bad energy back. Um, you can use any candle to send bad energy back. To reverse, if anybody sends you, negative energy, you can always reverse it back. If it is meant, if somebody sends energy to you that's negative, you guys should be doing protection work against yourself anyway, so that if it's meant for negative, that it should go back to them. You see what I'm saying? And I sell the jars on my website that have the same contents that I would suggest you guys put in your dolls, your herbs, your stones, and things like that. But everybody should have dolls and jars, working dolls and working jars for themselves. That, just like you have an ancestor altar, you want to keep your energy fed as far as the only time your energy should be depleted is if you're doing a lot of energy work. Like me, myself, being a healer and a spiritualist. Let me do a time check because I do have a reading coming up. Yep, I have a reading coming up. So wrap it up, y'all. I have jars for myself, and I have to protect myself from, people out here that think that they're going to come in and switch up the game. But Spirit has already showed me, and as soon as I said that, the pages started turning on my book. The wind blew it open. Spirit has already showed me, what they do for me and who protects me. And the energies that walk with me is not what people want, but sometimes like I told y'all before, in the past I've had people that tried to do, a little work. And they've come to me and said, hey, I apologize because I felt this way and I did this, but I want to make it right. I want to make amends. I know you do, because you don't want them energies. They don't just show me these things that I see for nothing. I mean, there's a price to pay for certain things, and they've already showed me if I don't do what they tell me to do, then this is what's going to happen. And anybody that comes up against me is not coming to Lynn. You're coming to those deities, and that's not a good thing. So you guys want to, and that's the thing. I don't understand why people like doing negative work against other people anyway. You want to make sure, like, focus on yourself. Like, I don't have time to be doing no negative work on nobody else. The only work I'm doing is trying to get what I want and what I need and what my family wants and what my family needs, what my friends want and what my friends need. Like, who has time to be sitting up doing all that old stuff anyways? You know, you're going to go in the store and spend your money on all these products for somebody else? No. To send negativity towards them? You're welcome, positive. Trisha says I need a jade. Yeah, jade's really good for money. A lot of Asian cultures wear jade and emeralds and stuff all the time. Those little bangles, and those bangles are kind of expensive too. Because I was in a pawn shop recently, down the street from me, because we were buying DVDs, and they had some in there. I was like, they had some. I call it the royal jewel section from Coming to America. They had rubies and stuff in there for like $16,000, $20,000. I was like, oh my god, like. And of course, me being me, I tried them on. Anytime I go to a jewelry store, they have expensive jewelry. Like when I go in Tiffany, I go buy my little $100 earrings. I let them know I want to try on $100,000 rings and jewels. I try them on, and I'm like, hell, I'm a queen. I deserve to try these on and see what it feels like. Oh, I didn't mean to zoom in like this. Yeah, so I'm gonna get ready to log out. Facts, they not even worth it. Correct. No, they're not even worth it. Like, and I'm like, whatever. But it's a thing of some people feeling like because I paid X, Y, and Z for this, it's something. So I don't subscribe to that, because I know you can have things that are handmade and homemade that have more powerful energy than. To me, I invest my money in luxury things, especially back when I was working full time, because I had it, and I just did it. I grew up without, and I was like, hell, I got all this extra money. I'm getting $4,000 bonus checks. Why not? Just go in and run up the spend the money. But it was still good investments, because for example, recently I sold something that I paid $280 for from the Louis Vuitton store, and because their production is so low now due to COVID-19, I sold it for $575. So it's all about investments as well. Yeah, Trisha said they cost 80 and up. Yeah, the ones that I saw in the pawn shop were like 100 and something, 200 and something for that jade. Right, all my spiritual work is positive, and for me, right, my spiritual work is positive, or it's to break some kind of curse or hex from someone else that I'm doing work for. But when I first learned spirituality from my great grandmother, she told me not to do that kind of work, and I agree. You shouldn't. You should not, because spirit is energy is going to be balanced out. Everything in the universe seeks balance. So you know whatever energies that work with you are going to balance out any negative energy that is directed towards you. Now, I'm not saying don't protect yourself, because that's just crazy, because I don't care how much I deal with spirit. I'm going to pack my 45. I got like 3,000 bullets sitting up in there. Probably a little bit more than that, because I went to the gun show and I racked up. I got all kind of bulletproof vests and stuff like that. So if anything ever goes down, I got all kind of April B like I do. I got a Springfield 45, and I'm not leaving out of my house because I have a carrying permit that I've had since I was in my late 20s. I'm not leaving out of my house without my peace. and my peace sign, and my Jesus peace. And I'm gonna have my mojo bags or my prosperity bags. What do I carry with me? I'm gonna have to do a spiritual what's in my bag. And I have my box cutter, my daddy's box cutter. When he died, my grandmother gave me all his stuff. I got my daddy's box cutter. Oh, and I just bought a taser recently. I'm looking on down there with my purse. I'm like, what else I got? Right, I'm with you. Right, you have to, like, I mean, there was a story they were talking about that Michelangelo did, and I'm like, or whoever that was, one of those Ninja Turtles, honey, and they were waiting on Jesus, who I guess looked like that, to come and save them, and he sent all kind of boats and all kind of people to save them. Honey, if you looking for him, you keep on looking, okay? Let me know how that works out for you. Monica said, "Okay, my dear." No, and Trisha said that's how I roll. But I'm just serious. Like it's insane. I grew up in the area that I grew up in with my great granny, with all that history and all of that stuff I was telling you about. At this particular point in time now, it's a war zone. They call Memphis Afghanistan. So it is like you don't come from a place like that and walk around and say spirit gonna protect me. They are, but they need help too. You got to give them something. Let me get my gun out. When you tell me to pull the trigger, I will. You see what I'm saying? Because that is the divine right for all humans to protect themselves. You know what I'm saying? So you got to roll the way you got to roll. And I'm not a person that is advocating for violence, but I'm advocating for protection, and that's what you have to stay doing. You have to stay protected. Okay. All right. June said I just talked about that. Yeah, you have to. It is your divine right, number one, and number two, it is what the ancestors. You're not gonna pour all that work into them and say, "Hey, protect me, guide me," and then you just let somebody run up on you, or you going into places that you don't have no business being in, where stuff that is not so great happens. You have to use your common sense. You know what I'm saying? You got any St. Michael's? I need to add some to my ancestor altar. I can get some for St. Michael's for you, because and I don't know if y'all notice, I normally have my angel behind me, but I put Ganesh behind me now. This Ganesh is apple right here. But what I do, this is another little inside. I can get a St. Michael's for you. What I do is I get the nativity scene with the angels, and everybody that came to the baby Jesus. They have cattle, they have angels, they have shepherds, and the baby Jesus, of course, Mary and Joseph. Those are my altar pieces for one of my altars. So see if that resonates with you guys. Those angels are very... Why do I keep zooming in like this? I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. Those are... Excuse me, guys. Those are very powerful angels, very prophetic angels. They're very protective. Those three wise men are very protective. Frankincense and myrrh, and the nativity scene, I keep that on my altar year round. Okay. All right. Positive for Life said your skin is very nice though. LOL. I'm glad it is, because thank you, because I'm zooming all in. It's like, okay, and my candle here don't have one. Okay. Well, y'all, so yeah, if you do need spiritual supplies, the Botanica that I go to, they have really good herbs and statues and things. That's where I get my herbs from to bless, to mix together to make the baths. And they also, you can think of, I got so many statues around this house that it's not even funny. Let me see. This is one of the angels. Okay, this is one of the angels. She comes in the nativity scene. So literally, this particular angel is in the Reiki room that I'm filming in now. So this is, I can't get it right. Okay, So this is one of the angels. So I keep her near me, and she guards over me just like how the angels watched over the baby Jesus. And then I have the other nativity pieces on the altar. But this is frustrating me. There it is. But yeah, you can use, I have all cultures energies because it's the same story repeating over and over and over. Culture to culture to culture, society to society to society. The names change, but the game, you know what I'm saying? The players change, but the game is the same. Whether it's, you know, Adam and Eve, Isis and Osiris, however you want to slice it and dice it. When you start going to these other cultures, even with Ifa, if you practice like Santeria, the saints are the Orishas. If you practice Voodoo, the Lawal are the saints. I mean, it's all synchronistic. So, damn, somebody stole them from you. Stole them from you, Trisha. Wow. Yeah. So, just do that, and you guys will be fine. So let me jump into this mediumship reading and get that energy, and I'm gonna think of topics to come back and do another video for you guys, so be on the lookout. Okay, it was my mom angel. Oh wow. Yeah, I hate to hear that. People are something else, ain't they? But you guys enjoy the rest of the day, and if I do get time to pop back in, then I will, and I will holler at y'all later. Peace and namaste.